观众朋友，大家好，我是 Clarence， 欢迎您收看 Channel 33 2022地方选举特别节目。提起地方选举呢，人们的热情度与参与度相比全国大选都有所下降。但您知道吗？与您生活中很多息息相关的事情，都是由当地的市议会以及地区委员会负责的。所以参与到地方选举中，也是表达您自己意见的一个重要的方式。在我们新西兰呢，地方选举每3年举行一次。包括下一届的市长、市议员和地区委员会的委员都将在今年被选出。今天的特别节目中呢，我们也邀请到了3位候选人，希望屏幕前的观众朋友们可以通过本期节目对地方选举有着更进一步的了解。接下来就让我们一起来认识一下这些候选人吧。
Wayne Brown 曾担任新西兰许多公共和私人组织的董事，也是前北地奥克兰 DHB 主席，还担任过 Far North 地区的市长。
大家好，我是 Wayne Brown， 现在我以票让我一起 fix Auckland. I have a track record of getting things done on time and on budget. With the Auckland Hospital, $500 million hospital, finished on time and on budget. So I want to put a lot of pressure, and I'm an engineer.So understand it, to get things done.
Efeso Collins 现任 Manukau Ward 议员，曾经是奥克兰市议会 Otara Papadoidoi 地方委员会主席。
My name's Efeso Collins and I grew up in New Zealand. My parents came from Samoa in the 1960s, so we're a migrant family. I'm the first in my family. I'm the youngest of 6, but the first in my family to go to university and to graduate from university. I've now been on council as a councillor for 6 years, so I bring experience to this role. I represent Manukau at the moment and am enjoying the campaign as far as getting right across the city to see what the aspirations of all Aucklanders.Craig
Lord 他的本职工作是一名工程师，也是一位自由媒体运营商。在2019年市长选举中，他的得票率排名第3。
Hi, I'm Craig Lord, Mayoral candidate for 2022. I'm an engineer by trade, so I started that when I was 15 years old. My specialty was hydraulic and pneumatic maintenance diagnostics and design. I think is actually really good for the Mayoral candidate.
奥克兰的市长呢，简单来说就是奥克兰市议会的首脑，具有非常重要的行政权力。这个职位在很大程度上可以决定新西兰这座最大城市的发展方向，所以呢，也被称为自新西兰总理以外最重要的职位。那么接下来，我们一起来听听他们对于市长这个职位的理解吧。
Well, you're the leader of the city. In my particular situation, I want to lead a recovery of the council's finances because at the moment they're no good and they're costing every ratepayer a lot of money that they shouldn't have to. The council organisations need to be reined in and made to be more efficient. Council's finances need to be got under control. We're just borrowing far too much. Our infrastructure projects are all over budget and over time, and no one seems to be worried about that. I want to get everything finished and get everything finished on time and on budget.
The goal is to set the vision for the city, is to make sure that everyone feels like they belong, to make sure that we're responsible for all the rates that people contribute so that we can provide the vision that people want and to look to the future. We're going to be a big city in the next 20 years, so let's make sure that we have all of our international relationships well, that everyone feels like they're a part of the city and that it's a beautiful city that we can all share together. That's the role of the mayor.
The mayor is not the boss, and that's really important to know. The mayor is only one of 21 votes on the governance table with 20 councillors, and you don't know who those 20 councillors are until the election's over. And my philosophy is not to push what I want, not for councillors to push what they want. We have to provide what the citizens want. And that's also been a part of the problem, which is why I put my hand up, because that's not really happening. So we've got to change that. So it's really important that people understand the mayor isn't the owner of a company and can make a lot of big decisions. They're not the boss. They're just a leader of a group that governs the city.
交通是一座城市的命脉，也是城市发展中不可或缺的存在。今天的这期特别节目呢，将聚焦于奥克兰的交通基建问题。让我们听一听3位市长候选人对改善奥克兰的交通有哪些观点以及看法。
Well, Well, probably the biggest risk is the city rail link. It should be a good idea. It should have been finished. It isn't. It's nowhere near finished. Every 9 months they say it's going to take another year. There is no urgency about finishing it. The costs are spiralling out of control, and that's going to come back and bite ratepayers. The big sewerage interceptors, which need to be finished to improve the water quality of the harbour, are falling behind time and going over budget. The eastern and west busways are behind time and over budget. Nothing is on time and on budget. Well, light rail to the airport is a government program to spend $28 million, and yet they can't explain what problem it's fixing. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think the greatest issue in the city at the moment is transport and the ability for people to get around, whether it's seeing your family, getting out to work, getting to school, or just accessing the city. So it's important that we tackle transport.
The main problem, I believe, is Auckland's layout is our problem, because over 150 years we've designed a city over volcanic mountains and hills with very close harbours. It's very skinny. There's lots of little peninsulas and coastal areas, and then there's this cluster in the middle of a little bit of landmass. And that's how Auckland is spread out over 150 to 200 years. Now we've realised, we didn't design public transport at the beginning properly, and we're behind. Designing public transport in Auckland is incredibly difficult and may never ever be solved because of that problem. We've got small streets. We can't just add a bus lane to it or add a train beside it. They try and put a cycleway in and it doesn't work, and that's the problem. We've got to find a solution around that. General transport, which is congestion, that's been created on purpose, and that's very cynical of our governing bodies to do that, but they've admitted it, and they're doing it to frustrate the driver. If you frustrate the driver, they'll get out of their car and use a bus or a train. The problem is the bus and trains are not efficient, so they're trying to make us use something that doesn't work. And I kind of get why they want to do it, but it's all going the wrong way. So what they're doing is they remove free left turns. They time traffic lights to make you just sit there for a long time. They put in traffic islands to make 2 lanes into 1. Speed humps in places where speed humps aren't really needed. All these things are designed to slow you down, make you angry, and then go, well, I won't drive anymore. And that's a problem too. So I don't like that. That's ideology over common sense. Let's open our roads up as much as possible, get people moving as quickly as far as possible, while on the side we try and work out a way to solve a public transport problem.
In terms of policies on Auckland transport, I want to take back control of the council organisations and put in charge people from the industry. There are too many people in management and not enough people at the workface in all parts of council, not just Auckland Transport. In terms of the bus systems, which is probably what you're talking about, I want to put a lot more IT and a lot of intelligence. We have a dumb network. We don't have nearly enough cameras on the lights that if you turn left and someone's crossing the road, you don't go. But if no one's crossing the road, you still don't go. There needs to be a camera there saying no one's crossing the road, you can go. The buses need to have a transponder on them so that when they come to a light, the light goes green for the bus only. And the people will catch the buses if they're quicker. It's not about cost, it's about speed. But the buses stop at the same lights that the cars stop. Why get in a bus? But if you're sitting in a car and the bus goes through and through and through, you catch a bus. Cycleways are good if they cost $200 a metre. Cycleways are no good if they cost $12,000 a metre. It's like cars are quite good if they cost $20,000. Cars are no good if they cost $1 million. Everything has to be done at a sensible economic price, at a speed which does not disrupt other people's business. Nothing is free. Somebody else pays. You know, my other candidates are promising to spend money like water. This council's in trouble. It's got too much debt already. Nothing is free. Make the buses quick and efficient. Then people catch them. The buses are already free for pensioners, and they don't catch the buses any more than anybody else. Nothing is free, just somebody else pays.
Some of the policies that I've released, firstly, is the fare-free public transport, so making getting on the bus, getting on the train, on the ferry, absolutely free. And the reason I want that is because it's supported by 73% of Aucklanders who believe that fares should be taken away, and it means that we can access our work and all of our facilities with ease. I think the other thing we need to do is put voting councillors back on Auckland Transport's board. It's important that the people of Auckland feel like they're getting the input and their voices being heard at Auckland Transport. And I think people have felt like the connection has been lacking. And so having 2 councillors back on the board with voting rights is going to help. I think some of the broader infrastructure projects mean that we need to fast track the second harbour crossing. Anyone who's used the harbour bridge will know that the harbour bridge only has so much access, and it's been great for this period, but we need another harbour crossing. My preference is to tunnel, but whether it's a tunnelling or another bridge, what we need to do is ensure that we can get people connected between the North Shore and the city as quickly as possible. I support light rail. I don't support the tunnelling, but I do support being able to access the airport through to the city, because that's going to open up jobs and it's going to allow us to build nearly 70,000 houses. And then just thirdly, I think we need rapid transport that goes to the northwest, so that people who are living in, say, parts of Massey and other West Harbour, they'll be able to access the city as well. Ultimately, we want to reduce our carbon emission. Yeah, I support the congestion charge as long as it comes in when we've phased out the regional fuel tax. So some of your viewers might know that you currently pay 10 cents on top of the normal litre for petrol at the moment. That's a council charge, and that money comes back to the council. If we take that charge away, I'm happy to introduce a congestion charge, which means people who are coming into the city at peak hours in particular are paying to come in the city. What we're trying to do as best as possible is reduce the amount of congestion. And so if we've got more people on the buses, we've got fewer people using the roads, it means that a congestion charge is going to be a user pay approach, because it means those people coming into the city at those hours are going to be paying a small fee. Now, I think that's the best way to do it. You look at other cities in the world, whether it's Dubai, London, Singapore, all of those jurisdictions have a congestion charge, and it works well. And you want people to spread their travel habits, and that means you might not need to come into the city. You'd be able to work at home in a hybrid way. So I think those are the ways to do it. What we know is that there are buckets of money. So already in ATAP, which is the Auckland Transport Alignment Project, there are billions of dollars available through that project, and that's a shared commitment with Council and the Crown, where we expend monies to invest in the city. There's plenty of money available to be able to cover off fares-free public transport. And most people are saying the middle figure is about $236 million, and that means we just reprioritise monies being spent in one area and we put it towards fares-free public transport, so that way we'll be able to cover it. So that doesn't mean an increase in rates. What it means is we take money from one area and pay it towards public transport.
The only way to get public transport working is to do, unfortunately, a scorched earth policy. And that's you've got to wipe out buildings and properties to put rail or bus lanes in. Now, that's not practical. We started looking at it differently and maybe go up. And not necessarily the old monorails, which are a little inefficient now, but there's much newer technology out there that could do that. And so we build above the city with rail and get people there, then we don't have to touch the properties underneath. It's faster, it's out of the way, it removes congestion, and we can link around. The only problem is it's going to be really expensive. It'll be less expensive than doing ground rail. I don't like the fuel tax because it's a very blunt instrument. Everyone pays no matter what, and for some people it doesn't seem fair because they're not causing congestion, they're not causing problems, and that money was meant to be used for roading projects. That was what it was designed for. I do like the idea of a congestion tax, but I think it's going to be difficult to get it right. Other cities around the world have done it, and it seems to be successful. We've probably just got to monitor what they've done and have a look and see how it works for them, and maybe bring that in here. And it's just electronic, and maybe that's the way.
First of all, they've got to pay to be there. Every business pays to be where it is. Where we're sitting now, the rent reflects the value of the land. The only people that get free land is the port. And if they get free land, they don't look after it. They don't run it efficiently. So from straight away, they'll have to pay $400 million a year for being in that place. That reduces the pressure on ratepayers and makes the port efficient and forces it to shift to things that shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be using New Zealand's most valuable land just to store cars. They shouldn't be using New Zealand's most valuable land to store empty boxes. And the other thing that's very important that I want to do is get all of the port containers delivered out to the warehouse to South Auckland on trains. So you get all those trucks disappear off the road and off the bridge. Let's do that and see what pressure is on the bridge and on the roads then. But get the trucks out of the road first. And that's easily done. You just put all the containers on a train. And if you want to save greenhouse gases, 150 containers on a train only uses the same diesel as 27 trucks. There you are. That's an easy way to improve the environment.
Yeah, I think in the long term we are going to have to move the port, and there's the SAPIA report that was produced a couple of years ago that says that by 2040, 2050 the port's going to have to move. That's a decision we're going to have to make in the next 15 years, and I think together alongside the Crown and iwi, that decision's going to have to be made. I think in the long term it will be moved, but at the moment what we've got to do is make sure that the port is earning good money so that it returns a dividend to Aucklanders, and that the movements between it are such that we're looking at what our carbon emissions are, and we're ensuring that those people who are coming in as tourists on the cruise ships are coming into a great experience in Auckland. So, yeah, long term it'll be moved, and I think we could open up, imagine a cultural centre there, sporting activities, a water park, and opening up for the public to enjoy. That's what we want, similar to what we've got at Wynyard Quarter at the moment, but extending it right throughout with good cafes, maybe more apartments. It's going to be a great place, but let's work out how the port is operating now, and then with the intention of moving it in the next 30 years, we've got to build a case for how that will happen, prepare ourselves for it, but make sure we're getting a good dividend from the port at the moment.
No, Auckland's a port city. We trade. To me, the containers and goods should come directly where it is now. It works. It's had some problems with management in the past and the way it's operated, but it's a business that should function well for Auckland as a shareholder. We own it. Us Aucklanders own it. And it's ours, and it should stay there. Let's just make it work properly. Now, I've spoken to people in the business there. They said the new CEO is doing good. So let's give it time. Let's see what the CEO can do to make the ports work for us. If we were to move it to Thames, Manukau, Northland, all we're doing is adding costs to the freight coming in, because now we've got to pay for shipping. For transport from those areas back to Auckland. You've of course got emissions, because you're now using more transport to get those containers back into Auckland when they should have just come here in the first place. And the shipping companies don't want to go north. They don't want to go to Manukau, and they don't want to go to Coromandel, Thames or Tauranga. They want to come here. And well, if they don't want to go anywhere else, then let's listen to the shipping companies. They want to be here. I agree with that. Let's not move it. There's been a lot of talk about using that land for other purposes. No, it's a port. Use it for a port. We can do things elsewhere. So that's my belief on it.
听了3位候选人对于交通基建问题上的观点，您是否对于他们有了更深的了解了呢？无论是准备重新夺回对奥克兰交通局的控制权，打算将装满集装箱的货车移出奥克兰街道的 Wayne Brown， 还是准备实施免费交通，想要加速第2北岸通道建设的 Clarence， 亦或是有着雄伟交通计划，准备在奥克兰大力发展高架轨道交通的 Craig Lord， 您一定已经有了一个最初的选择方向。接下来呢，我们还会播出4集地方选举的特别节目，涵盖了住房地税、治安与多元化、经济与展望未来，以及地方委员会议员等内容。了解各位候选人其他方面的政策呢，欢迎您持续关注 Channel 33，我们下期再见。